What's up, everybody? Today I want to talk about another Wasatch plant. This is Berberis, or Mahonia repens, this sort of ground cover right here. Now, I say Berberis or Mahonia because there's a bit of controversy over what genus it belongs in. For a long time, it was considered a Mahonia, but there's since been genetic tests that have shown that Mahonia is actually a genus set within Berberis. So, although there's some controversy there too, it's not entirely sure if it's gonna, that whole thing can be broken up into multiple genera or just kept as one giant Berberis genus. So until then, I'm just going to be calling it, I'll be referring to it as Berberis for this video. So Berberis and along with Mahonia together, it's a pretty large genus of over 600 species, most of which are found in the Old World, primarily East Asia, like the Himalayas and other parts throughout the whole area. But also there are species found in North America, Central America, and even down to South America. This one in particular, Berberis repens, is found all throughout the mountains of the western states. I'll put a map up of that distribution right now. So within the native range of a species, it's typically found in more moist protected sites underneath trees as it is here, although it can be found in some more unprotected open slopes occasionally, and it's also found from about 4,000 feet to about up to 10,000 feet, although it doesn't grow that close to the tree line typically, so you normally find it at sort of mid elevations or lower elevations like this site is. So one characteristic of this plant that's pretty interesting is that it's got, as a member of Berberidaceae, flower parts that occur in threes. It's kind of hard to show here. I will try and zoom in and see if it's willing. I'll have to show you later on a different plant, but this is it's got flower parts of three, so it has sepals and petals and stamens that occur in multiples of three, which is extremely rare for a eudicot or dicot. That's typically a characteristic of monocots, but this is not a monocot. This is a true eudicot type plant. And to go into the difference between those three, monocots, eudicots, and dicots, that's a whole other video, but just know that it's extremely rare for this to happen. Another characteristic of Berberidaceae, or a lot of its members at least, is that if you scrape off the bark on the plant, you get this yellow color, as you can see right there. So that is from a chemical called berberidin, which is found in all of the a lot of the members of this family. So in conclusion, I want to talk about some other uses this plant has. I think it's a nice plant on its own, but it does have some uses. For starters, it's got its fruit that is edible. As I said before, like all the flower parts are in three. It's got three petals in layers of three, sepals in layers of three, and stamens in layers of three, except for the fruit, which is just a single carpel that matures into a berry. And this berry is edible, but it does taste very sour. And it's got this kind of green plant taste, like if you were to eat a blade of grass or a leaf and chew on it, like that kind of gross green plant taste it's got. So it's not very pleasant. You'd probably have to make a jam out of it and add a bunch of sugar to make it actually palatable. But the other one is, I think it'd be a really good option for growing a native species. It's sort of a ground cover type plant. It doesn't ever get very tall, and it just kind of creeps along the ground a bit, which makes it great for like ground cover. And so as opposed to like ivy, which is a really terrible plant, I think, or vincas, which are again just awful and overplanted and not native, I think it'd be a great alternative to those. Just have a nice native ground cover, and it also turns this really cool purple or reddish color in the winter, which I really like. I've shown it in some of my previous videos. So yeah, there's some benefits to doing it for that. Otherwise, it's just a pretty cool species, I think. Not a very common one again, but a nice native one, and a pretty hardy one at that. Oh, another thing I'm about to mention, it's also an evergreen. Some Berberis species are not, some are deciduous, but this one is an evergreen. That's another characteristic you can use to identify some of them. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. A nice shot of Salt Lake City. So you can zoom in. Just focused. God, I love this place. It's kind of a hole, to be honest, but I really do like it. Nice. Well, I'm not in the wilderness anymore, and it's late at night, and this isn't Berberis repens. This is Berberis aquifolium. These heard some branches cracking. I hope I can go inside soon. Anyways, it's Berberis aquifolium. It's a species that grows as a shrub, but it's close enough that I can use it for this demonstration. So anyways, if you look right there, you can see these flowers. They got petals in groups of 6, or sorry, 3 I meant to say, but there's about 6 of them total. And you can count them yourself. I'm not going to count my finger, but you can see also there's these flower stalks. This is known as raceme. It's a type of inflorescence where you have like sort of one stalk, and then upon it a bunch of pedicels come up attached to, or with one flower attached to the end. So that's another characteristic of Berberis. They typically have racemes or some other types of inflorescences. But yeah, this is another cool species. This is a bit of a garden ornamental. It's a bit overplanted, I think, but it's not totally native. It's like native to the Pacific Northwest and parts of the Northern Rockies, but not the Rockies around here. So I definitely prefer repens to it, but it's still a cool species, I think.